4 letters in, and it's like suggestion. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Well, and Gmail does it now for the whole sentence.
Yes, that's wild.
Yeah.
When you get an email and it gives you a potential response, like, oh boy. Meanwhile, the government is like completely reading everything you say. Everything you say. Did you see that Tucker Carlson said that the NSA got into his Signal?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, his Signal app, because he was about to have a conversation with Putin. They were trying to set up a conversation with Putin, and the government called him up. And they're like, hey, we know you're setting up a conversation with Putin. We saw it through your Signal app. And he was like, what? Like, I didn't even fucking know they could do that. That's what he was saying. I assumed they could do that because I had a conversation with Gavin DeBecker, and he essentially said that through Pegasus software, it's Pegasus 2.0. He said Pegasus 1, you needed to click a link, and that's how they got Bezos. That's how, what's the guy's name from Saudi Arabia got Bezos?
MBS.
Yeah. But Pegasus 2, they just need your phone number. That's it. Like, all this idea of encryption, like, oh, well, you're using encryption? That shit doesn't mean anything. They can just read whatever they want. It's really crazy.
Yeah.
It's the violation of privacy that's available right now to, by the way, just regular people. Here's the thing about it. Like, who are these people that work for the government? They're people. They're just people that make a decision to just look into other people's stuff. It's not like they're not priests. They're not some monk that spent 10 years meditating on a thought on a mountaintop and they've achieved an extraordinary level of consciousness. No, these are just fucking regular dorks who jerk off in the bathroom on their lunch break, and these guys have access to all your emails. And it's a real problem. It's a real problem that I don't think most people are even available or aware of. It's a giant issue that we experience right now with this whole digital world. And I don't know how much you've fucked with Chat GPT at all.
Quite a bit. I've been trying to get onto GPT-4 now because I'm told that it's a significant upgrade.
Significant upgrade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was not impressed with Chat GPT on questions that required, like, I'll give you an example. Like, I asked it, between Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler, Tommy Hearns, and Roberto Duran, explain who you think is the best boxer of that era.
What did it say?
I can't remember, but it was so dumb, Joe, that I was like, this is not a helpful answer. Like, it basically said, well, Tommy Hearns beat Roberto Duran, and like, it just basically recited a bunch of facts, but it couldn't come up with anything. I then asked it, this was actually really odd. I said, what was so special about the 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix? That's the one where going into the final race, Verstappen and Hamilton were tied even, winner take all for the championship that year. And it was a very controversial ending because of the safety cars. So basically, Lewis is leading, Max is in second, and then with like a few laps to go, who spun out? I think Nicholas Latifi hit the wall, which needed a safety car. And in the process, there's a rule that says every lapped car should be able to unlap itself for the restart, but they only let the cars between Hamilton and Verstappen unlap themselves. So Verstappen had already pitted. He got soft tires.
What is unlap?
So by the end of a race, usually the leaders have actually lapped the back markers of the field. So unlap means they get to go ahead of the leader to unlap themselves and catch the tail again because the cars are all going so slow under a safety car.
I see.
And anyway, the point is it was super controversial. If not for the way the stewards had interpreted the rule, Hamilton probably would have won the race. But instead, Verstappen won because he was on better tires. So even though he was behind, it was like he smoked Hamilton in the last lap.
So he had newer tires?
He had newer tires.
Changed?
Yeah. He had switched his tires at the beginning of that crash. So I asked Chat GPT to sort of tell me what it was. I didn't want to allude to it. I just said, what was special about that race? This is the part that blew my mind. Not only did it not know, it confabulated the whole thing. It literally made up nonsense. Oh, it got some things right. This was the last race of the 2021 season. And going in, Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton were even on points. And then it went off the rails, dude. It was like, it just, in the middle of the race, there was a safety car that did this. And it's like, no, there wasn't. And it actually got it wrong. It said Lewis won. And in doing so, became the first ever 8-time world champion. And I'm like, wow. It's like the confidence with which you spewed all of those lies is amazing.
So this is 3.5?
This was, so I did this probably like a month ago, so I don't know what version.
Must have been 3.5.
Yeah.
Was that what it was? Was it 3 or 3.5 a month ago? Because it changed multiple times.
Four,
over the
4 is the newer
Newest.
version within like the last 2 weeks, but it's, no, not everyone can use it still.
I'm not good enough to use it because I've tried. I can't get it.
You can't get it?
No.
Why not?
I don't know. Every time I try
They
it.
don't like you.
Yeah, clearly not.
Well, you must talk some shit.
I must have.
Maybe they heard you talk about 3.5.
They're like,
So what?
no 4 for you.
You would never be able to get. That's an interesting thing. Like when it comes to the boxing analogy or the question, like how would you quantify? Like because experts like you and I love boxing,
Right.
But if we had a conversation about who's better, like who would you say?
that
Marvin
era?
Hagler, Tommy Hearns, Sugar Ray Leonard, or Roberto Duran?
I put Hagler first.
Me too.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. I think he was the best because he beat everybody, and the only reason why I wouldn't put Duran ahead of Hagler is that Duran was fighting.
Duran wasn't a
160
natural
pounds.
middleweight.
He was a 135
That's right.
pounder.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you go back to like Ken Buchanan, when he fought Ken Buchanan at 135, he was a fucking monster.
He was a beast all the way up to welterweight.
Yeah.
I mean, insane.
And even in welterweight. And then, I did, the second fight with Sugar Ray Leonard really.
No. Hearns won that
disaster.
fight. That's a disaster.
No, Leonard.
Oh,
Leonard and Duran.
Yeah.
The second fight's a disaster because Duran got fat and was partying, and he had a fucking lion that was on a chain, and was walking down Panama. He's out of his fucking mind, and he just partied too much, and they gave him like 6 weeks to prepare for an enormous fight.
Didn't he lose like 40 pounds in 6 weeks or something?
Well, he looked like shit too.
Yeah.
Like you look at his body, the difference in the way his body looked in the first fight and the second. The first fight, he was like a live wire.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just an animal. I mean, he attacked with such ferocity, such fucking technique, and just roughed Leonard up and battered him and did to Leonard what nobody anticipated.
Yeah.
And Leonard, for whatever reason, decided to try to stand with him, which is crazy. So Leonard had a far better approach in the second fight, but he also was facing a Duran that just really fucked up. And those are the days where you had to weigh in the day of the fight too, which is crazy.
And I'll tell you, I don't think Leonard beat Hearns in the second fight. That was a draw.